This video is brought to you by ScaledWorld.net. If you want to get your build featured or check out some other awesome featured builds, be sure to head over to their Facebook page or their website to check it out and fill in that feature form. With the body kit now all fitted up, there was of course still some body work that needed to be done before I could move on to painting. So firstly, I marked off all of these mold lines to show where they are, and when I sand the black marker off, when the black marking is gone, so should that mold line be. So let's move on to marking all of them off and then cleaning them up with some sanding sticks and some sandpaper. To sand the bulk of these mold lines off, I took out a sanding stick with roughly 320 grit, and then after cleaning them off, I moved on to sanding it smoother and getting those rougher scratches out with some 600 grit sanding sponges. And while I was sanding out those rougher scratches, I also sanded the rest of the body to get it ready for primer. Most of the panel lines were already pretty nice and deep, but the ones that weren't did get a once over with a Panelline scriber from Yellow House Club. Once the scribing and all of the sanding was done, all the panel lines were pretty much filled up with a lot of plastic dust, so I cleaned those out with a brush and then moved on to drilling some holes in order to fill that in with a pin and then more securely attach the side mirrors so they can either be removable or at least have a bit more strength than just a bit of glue. The main bulk of the dust was already removed with the brush, but there was still some dust on the main surfaces, so I went over it once again with just some air through the airbrush to clean it up and be absolutely dust free. When that was all done, I moved on to those hard to reach, easy to forget spots first, and with that all set and done, I moved on to a first light coat on the rest of the body. The first coat was applied. It didn't cover completely as usual, so I let it sit and dry for about 5 minutes and moved on to a second, bit thicker coat to cover it even more. Strangely enough, I did not have any dust or rough spots in the primer, so I didn't really need to sand it, and I could just move on to applying the color. So just like any other coat of color or primer or even clear, after one coat is applied, I let it sit and dry for about 5 minutes, fill up the airbrush with some more paints, and move on to the second or even third coat. After applying the second coat, you can already see that the color is covering nicely and is almost there, so just to be sure, I finished off with a third coat to completely cover it and make it all nice and even. The third and final coat is applied and I'm really happy with the way this color came out. I now need to mask it off for a secondary color and then could move on to applying a couple of decals and finishing it off with a nice coat of clear. But that is all for the next episode. This video is brought to you by ScaledWorld.net. If you want to get your build featured or check out some other awesome featured builds, be sure to head over to their Facebook page or their website to check it out and fill in that feature form.